Good morning. Hi, Denise. How are you? I say good morning, but it's midday here and it's probably afternoon for most of you that are tuning in. I hope everyone is having a great week. Let me know who's here, where you're from. Hi, Kristen. Are you in town still or are you gone? Hi, Candice. Good to see you. Did your catalogue arrive? Oh, no. No catalogue yet? Oh, my goodness. I'm sure it won't be long. Maybe it's in the mail today. Oh, sorry to hear that, Kristen. Sorry to hear that Lauren's sick. That's prevented you from going out of town, I'm sure. Well, it's good to see you all. I hope you're all having a good day. I'm going to go ahead and get started. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today. And if you're watching the replay later, thank you so much also. So today I'm going to be making a card, an Easter card, because I suddenly thought, oh my gosh, it's less than 2 weeks till Easter and I haven't made an Easter card yet. So I know, well, you still have time to order the Daffodil Daydream bundle if you'd like to, but I'm sure you have other flowers in your collection too that you could use for this card. And this bundle, here's the stamp set and then the dies, and you get absolutely loads of dies. Yes, I love it. Kristen says she loves the Daffodil Suite. I do too. What's great about this, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Pansy set that we have in the annual catalogue because it's so versatile. So you can use just the stamps, or you can cut out these stamps. You've got dies to cut these out, or you can just use the dies on their own. And in fact, in class, actually, let me back up. So this set is in the mini catalogue. So it's on page 30, I think it's 37. Yes, so here it is in the mini catalogue. And there's some lovely cards that they've made, some lovely projects. And in fact, a few months ago, we made in my card class, we made some cards. We put the annual catalogue away for a minute. I'm not quite sure why I had that out. So we made these using just the dies. So you get all these pieces here. These kind of weird looking shapes make up the actual flowers, and then you've got the stems too. So these we did we did a few different ones. So this was using actually the Celebration paper, which is no longer available, but just to kind of show you that you can just do things with the dies instead of the stamps. And you can, this is like a pocket card. So this is a sympathy one, and the inside pulls out, and then they're all kind of like that. So I have a couple of sympathy. If I can get it back in, I have a couple of sympathy. And then here's a birthday one. This one's looking a bit dog-eared. they get a bit like that sometimes after my class because they get handed around, and people want to look and see how they're made and that. So anyway, and then this one, which is I think one of my favorite papers with the petal pink in. Just a card to say you're amazing. So those we did a few months ago, but today's card I'm just going to be focusing on the stamps mostly and die cutting those out. So I had a plan. So why I had this this catalogue out. Candice says your mini catalogue is so fresh looking. Mine is all tattered and written all over. I probably grabbed like a newer one. I have my copy, which is kind of like yours. It's tattered and written on, but I grabbed like a nice, newer looking one for today. So don't be fooled. Anyway, so this catalogue is going away in a few weeks. And as you know, there are lots of items. I kind of did is this the one that I have marked up? Where's the one that I have marked up? I have it somewhere, but this isn't it apparently. But a lot of products are going away in a few weeks and are on sale. So I had a plan, and I keep, like last week, I kind of had to change and go to plan B, because when I started, all the products were still available. And then by the time I made my project, they weren't. So this is the card that we're going to be making today. It's, like I said, an Easter card. And I use this paper, this designer series paper is from the hand-penned DSP. Hi, Terry. Which was available when I checked a couple of days ago. It was still available to purchase. But when I went to check, I was compiling my supply list to post afterwards. And I went to look for the number, and it wasn't showing up anymore. So it has since sold out. I was going to use this paper, this Highland Heather one. So I had to had to switch to a different paper. So a similar thing happened last week, where I had to change to a different card design altogether. So what I decided to do, I decided to use this because I wanted kind of Eastery, pastel-y type colours. So I decided to use this, the Subtles 6x6 designer series paper. And I did check, and it's still available. And in fact, it's on clearance. So it's normally $11.50 and it's on sale for $6.90. So how this works is it comes in colour families. So these are the subtles, and then you can also buy the brights, the regals, the neutrals, and the in colours, both years of in colours. And you get 4 sheets of each colour. So here's soft sea foam, calypso coral, balmy blue, petal pink, so saffron, and so on. And there are 2 different designs. So if I show you, let's do calypso coral because that's fairly bright. So you get 2 of this design, and it has this one on the back, a little bit like kind of like a fleur de lis, but not quite. And then there's 2 of this design also, and this one has this on the back. So I thought I would use, and as I was going to use the Highland Heather, I picked the Highland Heather from here also. So really good deal, and these are really versatile. They're really good to have on hand because you can pretty much use them for any occasion. And the neutrals are great for masculine cards and just kind of all occasion cards. So really good deal, $6.90. So let me put those to one side. So let me grab. So what I did, I've done a little bit of the work ahead, stuff that you don't need to see me doing. So what I've picked. The Highland Heather, and I decided to go with the, what do you call that, like a plaid. And what I've done is I've already, let's see, I was just trying to see, is it light enough? I hope so. I was just trying to see if I could make my light any brighter, but I think it's fine. Anyway, I've already cut out this front kind of window. This is a piece of, I've cut it down. They come 6x6. I've cut this down to 4 by 5 1/4, and then I've got a black matte layer that's just a little bit bigger. This is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and I've die cut it a window using the rectangle layering dies. And this piece you can just keep as another project. So I've done that, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my card base, which is, this is just half of an 8.5 by 11 piece. So it's 11 by 4 1/4, and then I've scored it at 5 1/2. But of course you could do a side folding card if you prefer. And this is going to attach to here. But first of all, I don't know if you can see on this one, that I've done some kind of embossing in the heat embossing in the background just to add a little bit of extra detail behind the daffodil. So I'm going to just, I'm not going to attach this yet, but I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to grab a pencil. Hopefully I've got a pencil. And I'm just going to outline that rectangle so I kind of know where to, where I know where to stamp. So I'm just going to do a thin pencil line. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, a little bit. So that's just kind of as a guide for me to see where to stamp. And then I actually used, let's see how this is going to look. So I used this stamp set. I wonder if it's going to be too busy. I wonder if I should use the dots. I think I'm going to use this because it'll get covered up a little bit anyway. And we can see. We'll see. So let me grab this. So here's that stamp ready to go. And then I need my Versamark and my embossing buddy. This is not critical, the embossing buddy, because we're going to emboss with clear embossing powder. So it's not, and it's in the background, so it's not going to be that noticeable if, you know, if we have a few stray pieces of embossing powder, it's not that big of a deal. So then what I'm going to do, and you're not going to be able to see this very well on camera, but I'm just going to stamp multiple rows of this stamp down. You can see how I did it on here. I just stamped multiple. It doesn't really matter about the spacing. And I'm actually not going to ink up the whole width of this because I don't need that. I just kind of need the middle section. So I'm just going to kind of put my, let's put it this side. I'm just going to kind of ink up the middle like that. And then I'm going to start at the top. And I can see it a little bit. You probably, yeah, I can't really, but just trust me, I'm doing it, it's there. And then I'm just going to work down. One row after another. Doesn't have to be perfect because some of it's going to get covered up and we're just going to do some ink blending over the top. So it's just to give a little bit of extra interest. And if you don't want to do this, you can find, if you have like a background stamp that's kind of scripty or wood grain or just something along those lines, you can just do that. You don't have to do this. Or you could put a different color designer series paper behind, or you could just, you know, whatever you like, really. Okay, so I need my clear embossing. I've piled up all the catalogs and everything on top of my embossing folders. So I need clear embossing powder. You can use white here too, but I want it to kind of be subtle. I don't want it to be too bright white. So I'm going to use clear. It probably really wouldn't make much difference. So I've got my clear here. So I'm just going to, now you can, don't know if you can see, but I've got way more powder than I need, you know, over the edges of the line. It doesn't really matter, but I'm just going to brush. I'm going to take a brush and I'm just going to kind of brush off what I don't need. And again, this step is kind of optional. It doesn't really matter if you have extra. Let's see. Hi, Carol. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. All right, so that's that. And let me grab my embossing. And I don't know if you'll be able to see, you can see it a little bit. Hopefully you'll be able to see it a little bit as it heats up. So here we go. All right, starting to go. turn it around a little bit. Okay, I think I got it all. You don't want to overheat it because it'll go matte again. But can you see that? Let's see if I can get a good angle where you can. It doesn't show it very well, but you'll see it when I start to sponge. So I'm not going to worry too much about those pencil lines because they're going to be covered up. So let me grab my blending sponge and my ink. So I've got Balmy Blue and my blending brush from my light blues. Now on this one I actually did Pool Party, which looks nice, but I wanted to see if I could get a bit more contrast between it's quite green looking, isn't it? So I thought I'd try Balmy Blue, which I think goes nicely with the Highland Heather, and it's going to be a bit more contrast to the soft succulent on the daffodil leaves, so stems and leaves. So I'm just tapping off just a little bit, and then I'm just going to come in, and what I want it darker at the top and then kind of lighter as I work down, and you can see it's starting to show up. I love doing this. Is called Emboss Resist, and this is one of my favorite techniques to do because it's kind of like magic as the pattern starts to show through. So again, just kind of work. I'm starting at the top and then I'm just kind of working down. Actually, sponging in general is like one of my, I love doing ink blending and sponging. It's like one of my favorite things to do. And then I'm just going to fade out almost to white at the bottom. So you can do this as light or as dark as you like. I think that's pretty good. And then important step is to just take a dry paper towel or a dry cloth and just preferably a clean one. This one's not very clean. And you're just going to buff off any excess ink, and that really makes it's a funny little rough bit, that really makes the design show through. So it's just kind of subtle, but I liked the look of that. So let's put this over the top and see how that looks. Oh, that's pretty. All right, so that's that step. So we can do a little bit of assembly here. So I can stick this onto, and then we'll work on the flowers. So do you all make Easter cards, or any of you? A lot of people don't give Easter cards, it seems like, but do any of you make and give Easter cards? Have you made them? Have you mailed them? Okay, let's make sure this goes on the right way. I'm going to open it up so I can... It's a bit warped from the heat gun, so I'll try and see if I can get it on straight. It's because I only have a little border, it's a little bit trickier, but I do like that skinny border. Okay, so that's that. All right, now the other, let's grab we can set it under something heavy and it'll settle back down again. Making mine now, says Carol. Great. All right, let's set that to one side and work on the flowers. And I did already stamp and die cut these, so you didn't have to watch me do that, but I do need to color them. And I've done by 2. Now I've done 2 because I'm going to pop up 2 of the daffodils, and I'll show you what I mean. So let me grab my blends here. So I've got just a few colors, not too many. I'm going to do the stems, soft succulent. So I've got soft succulent, light and dark. I'm going to start with my dark and I'm just going to color in the leaves on one, so I can just pick, it doesn't really matter. I think I'll do this one actually. This one's a little bit bolder. So I'm going to start with my soft succulent dark, and I'm going to use the pen tip just because the stems are kind of fine. I like to use, my favorite is to do the brush tip. And I'm just doing one side, kind of like the sun would be coming in from the left. So we're just getting some shadow. And underneath probably underneath. And you can start with a lot of people start with the light and then they add some dark and then they go back over with the light. You can definitely do that too. And sometimes I do that, but to save time today. And also what I find is because our blends come in pairs, if you always start with your light and then you go back in with your light afterwards, it seems like my light blend always runs out before my dark one. And especially as you end up using more of the light anyway, you tend to do a bigger area in the light. It seems like there's a little stem there. And then, so I try to go in with the dark and then blend out with the light, but you can do either really. And then I'm going to go in with the light. And again, I'll use the pen tip just because it's a bit skinny. And then I'm just kind of blending out. And if you have some little white spots left, that's absolutely fine. I kind of like that. It looks like there's just some extra light on them. Using the daffodil. Oh, yeah, daffodils seem to be kind of a symbol of Easter, don't they? But tulips, you could use tulips would be nice too. Any spring flower, I suppose, because Easter's all about rebirth, isn't it? And new growth. So any kind of spring flower, I think, would be good. Let's see, did I miss anything? Over here. Is that supposed to be green, do you think? Let's just colour that piece down there. Sometimes it's hard to tell what's supposed to be a stem and what's not. All right, then I'm going to colour in this little daffodil that's kind of hiding behind the leaf there. So I'm going to start with, now I've got Daffodil Delight, of course, for daffodils, but I also have the light Mango Melody, because I wanted just a little bit of a deeper colour. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of that first. I think this is running out a bit. And I'm not really doing any fancy shading here. I'm just doing at the bottom of the petals, and then I'm just going to blend out towards the tips with, whoops. Oh, and actually I can work on these ones. So I'm going to work on these two flowers, and then I'm going to cut these out and pop them up on top. So I'm going to go, like I say, I think, let me see if I can try the brush tip, see if that's a bit better. Oh yeah, it's a bit better. I just wanted a little bit of a deeper colour. I'm not doing anything fancy. All right, then I'll get my Daffodil Delight Dark, and I'll blend out a little bit further with that. This almost looks darker than the Mango Melody, actually. Maybe I should have used Mango Melody Dark, but that's okay. Maybe I grabbed the wrong one. Which wouldn't be that surprising. Okay, and then Daffodil Light just to blend out. And you can take a bit more time when you're doing yours. But you kind of get the idea. And what I noticed yesterday, I used Memento black ink to stamp the daffodils, and they are, that's what you're supposed to use with alcohol markers, but do let it dry just for a minute or two, because what I did yesterday was I stamped and then coloured with the yellow immediately, and it kind of looked a bit, I'm sure it picked up a little bit of the ink. It looked a bit kind of grey, not so bright yellow. So do make sure that the ink is dry before you do your colouring, especially if you're using a light colour. Now the butterfly, I'm just going to use Highland Heather because that's going to kind of coordinate with the designer series paper. That's the dark around the edge and then the light in the middle. And I don't know whether there are butterflies this colour, but I'm using my artistic license. All right, so that's all the colouring done. Now let's bring back card. Now I need to do the frame. Did you notice I've got a frame on the top? And let me show you how I did that. So let's see, I actually used some of our foam adhesive sheets. Now you could do this a number of ways. You could cut one frame out and put dimensionals underneath, cut little strips. You could do several layers of cardstock and stick them all together, but then you kind of have that wasted area in the middle. So what I decided to do was to cut my frame, and what I did was I used this, let me show you the dies. I used the rectangle stitched framelits. I called them the layering dies. I always forget what they're called, rectangle stitched framelits. And I need this one also. So I can tell you the measurements, my ruler. So the larger one, so you know which one to use. This one is on the outside about like 2 3/8 by, let's see, what's that? 3 and almost 3 3/4. And then this one is just under 2 inches by just a little bit more than 3 3/4. So, so I layered them together. So how I'm going to do this, I'm going to take, so these are kind of like, they're called foam adhesive sheets. Has anybody used these? They're kind of like a giant sheet of dimensionals. So I've got a piece of basic white cardstock, and then I'm going to cut a piece of this about the same. So you see it's just one big sticky sheet. So you can just cut pieces off here. So I'm going to cut a piece that's about the same size. I'm just going to hold it and grab some scissors and just cut this like this. And this can just go back in. And then I'm going to peel off one sticky side, one cover, and put my piece of cardstock on, like that. And then I'm going to position this on here. Hopefully it's big enough. Yes. And I need to layer the two. I've got a piece of washi here that's kind of running out of stick, but hopefully it'll work. You can take a piece of washi tape or masking tape or whatever, some kind of low-tack tape just to hold it together there. I don't know whether that's going to hold, we'll see. And then I'm going to grab my baby boss. And we'll die cut it out. I haven't done this with my baby boss before. I did it yesterday's on my large one, so hopefully it'll work just fine. Let's grab my plates. Okay, and off we go. always have trouble using, there we go. It's not going. That's interesting. Maybe it's too thick. It started to cut it. I'm gonna go do this on my other machine. I think it's too thick to go through here. I'm gonna do this on my other machine and I'll be right back. So don't go away. Right, let me grab my big one. I just grabbed my big one here. No, you won't be able to see this so well, but if I can zoom out a little bit more. All right, so I've got my plates here. Because it's almost like thick like an embossing folder. I've got to see if I can line it up now because it started to cut. Oh, I need my plate here. So that's good to know. I could have maybe forced it, but I didn't want to break it. I've got to see if I can line this up where it started. If not, I'll have to cover that part with the daffodil. We can make it work. There we go. It's even kind of stiff with this one. And I'm going to rub it back again just to make sure. And then what I did yesterday is I actually just flipped it over and ran it through one more time just to really make sure. There we go. All right. So there's that. Let me put this away quickly. Right. So let me zoom back in. So hopefully now it's all cut through nicely. Don't need that middle piece. Actually, I'm going to put the backing. The backing came off, but I'm going to put the backing back on that. I can save that to use for something else. And then here's our frame. The backing already came off, which is fine. So there is, perfect. I managed to line it up all right, so that's good. Right, so this is going to go, I'm going to grab this one. This is my main image. So I'm going to, if you can see on this one, that I cut just a little bit off and kind of tucked it under of the bottom of the stem there. So I'm going to do that with this one, trying to hold the frame. The back doesn't always come off like that. But it's sticky, obviously. So I'm just going to trim this a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up. And there's stitching, because the frames, they cut stitching on the inside and the outside. There's stitching on the outside too, so it looks kind of pretty. So I'm going to line this up. And before I stick the bottom down completely, oh, and I need to put my dimensionals. That's not pressed down all the way, so I'm fine. So I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back here. I forgot about that. So I just want them on the left side of the daffodils. One on the stem like that. I can probably put one more right here. And then I'm just going to tuck that little bit of the stem so it looks like it's poking out from underneath the frame. So I can just pop that up can position this where I'd like it. Just like that. Then I can press the frame down really well. And then I need to cut out these two little flowers. Now, because I've die cut it already, they're kind of half cut out. So I'm just going to go around and do a little bit of fussy cutting. And then these can be, and this is an optional step. If you don't like fussy cutting, or you don't want that added dimension, you definitely don't have to do this. You can just color in the whole, just do one daffodil, one stamp, and just, let's just cut this piece off. And then just, not worry about it. But I thought it would be nice to have the two flowers popping up a little bit. All right, so I've got to cut this piece off. Just trim all those little pieces that you don't want. And actually, I think I'll color in. See, did I do that on the other one? I'm going to color in. There's a little tiny bit of stem. I'm just going to color that in quickly with the dark soft succulent. And I'm just going to cut off these other little bits here. Who likes fussy cutting? I don't mind it actually. I find it quite relaxing. If I've got time. Obviously, if you're in a hurry, it's not a fun thing to do, but I quite like it. All right. And I'm just going to pop these up with dimensionals. I'll just put one on each. Oops, sorry, I'm off camera a little bit. Okay. Oh, I've got a little bit there that I need to trim off. But yeah, half the work is done for you because of the die cut, so that's nice. And then you can just lay it over the top. And it just gives it a bit more dimension. I think that looks pretty. All right, so let's do the sentiment. So I've got a little piece of black. And I'm going to heat emboss Easter Blessings. So I've got my stamp ready to go. Now, another little trick I was going to show you, and this is good if you don't have Versamark ink, you can actually use your Whisper White Craft ink. And the advantage to doing this, especially on dark cardstock, is you can really see if it's stamped okay. And it gives you, if you're using white embossing powder, it gives you a really bright white crisp sentiment. So let's see how this. Got my craft ink there. I'm just going to stamp that in the middle. And I can see that it's stamped nicely. A little bit down there that I maybe don't want, but I can brush that off with a brush. And then I'm going to use white embossing powder. So let me grab that. I should take a picture of what my desk looks like after I've finished filming, because I start off so organized and it's a big mess by the time I'm finished. Are you a messy crafter or a tidy crafter? I'm kind of a messy one, I must say. Right, that looks good. I'm not going to worry about these little stray bits of embossing powder because we're going to cut those off. All right, grab my heat gun again. All right, and then I'm just going to fussy cut this as well because I didn't want a big heavy sentiment. I wanted it kind of light, and I didn't like any of the dies that I looked at, and I didn't want to do a strip, so I just decided to cut around it. So I'm just going to do that, and it's quite quick because the Easter you just cut straight along there. So I kind of like to do this sometimes. So, and you can go as close, you know, or far from the letters as you want. It could be as intricate as you want. So my heat gun got a lot of workout over the weekend. Not over the weekend, Monday. I've been making sunflower cards. I don't know if you've seen my pictures of them, but my husband has been helping me, and a friend came over to help too on Monday. And I told her it was my fault. I've made a label to go on the back of the card that says that it's made by me and that the proceeds benefit the people of Ukraine. And I told her to stick them on wrong. So she stuck them on the side instead of the bottom. So my husband, bless him, he sat there and used the heat gun to take all the labels off and re-stick them back onto the bottom of the card. Oh, thank you, Denise. And then he had to go back in and use the little adhesive remover because where the label was, it kind of left a sticky residue. So he spent like a couple of hours, because we had made 60 in that batch. I've made about 150 cards altogether so far, I think. But there was 60 in that batch that had the labels on wrong. To start with, we were like, well, nobody will really notice, but I was like, oh, I don't know, I don't really like them like that. So that's Easter blessings. So yeah, the heat gun got a good workout. So let's see, I think I'm going to use a mini embossing, mini dimensional. Let's use a black one. We can use a black, not that it matters, but so I'm going to stick this kind of like this, so I can put dimensionals this end, and I think that's all I'll need. I always forget about my black dimensionals. Maybe one more there, and maybe a little bit of adhesive on the other end. Let's just put, or I could have done a glue dot actually. You could do a glue dot on the other end too. So let's put this, and then we just got to decorate. Right, and I'm going to use a pair of tweezers. I love the colours on this. Do you like the colours? I love how it's turned out. We'll just put that there. I could have done with another mini one under there, but that's okay. And I'll have a little butterfly. Put the butterfly on. It's just going to go down here. Now, yeah, I did it down here. Let's see. Do I want to do it somewhere else? I could do it over here. Let's see. Got a pretty late, beautiful card. Thank you, Vicky. That's okay. You can, if you want, you can go back and watch the replay. I'm just deciding where to put the butterfly. I could put it up here, maybe. Maybe I'll do that on this card. I'll just put it like there, like it's hovering over the flowers. And I think I'll pop up the back wings with a little dimensional. A mini white one. Hi, Kristen. How are you? Good to see you. Your buddy's on here. Kristen and Candice. You went to school together, right? Let's see. See if this is going to work out. Was it high school that you went to together? Right, let's put him right there, or her. Oh, that's nice. I like that too. All right, so just some embellishments. Ooh, sorry about that. Funny squeak. Just some embellishments now is the last step. And let's see, where do I have those? Oh, here they are. So on the first card, I used, a long time ago, says Candice. So on this card, I used these Genial Gems, and I checked to see they were still available, and they are, and these are on sale too. So these are $4.80 down from $8. And these worked perfectly because they are pale papaya and mint macaron. So they went really well. I haven't used mint macaron on here, but pool party and soft succulent, you know, it's it's very similar. So that worked really well, but they didn't work on this card. So I went back to one of my favorites, the In Color Jewels. This is my last packet, but they're actually, these are retiring, and they're also on sale. They're $5.60 instead of $7. And these colors are not retiring. These are the 21 to 23 in colors, so these are going to be around for another year, but the embellishments are retiring. Now this is Fresh Freesia and this is Highland Heather, but I think, and this is Soft Succulent, which I've used on here, so I think these will go really nicely. So let's see here what we're gonna, let's grab my take your pick tool, decide where we're gonna put some, and we could use the yellow also, goodness. So I think I'll do a Highland Heather one here. And let's see, let's see how they look. Let's take them off here. Yellow is pretty. Maybe the yellow would be pretty there. Let's see. I'll do this one like this. They don't show up like a lot, but I think they're pretty. And then I'll maybe do another yellow one up here, and then I'm gonna do one down here. I'll do a Fresh Fuchsia. I'm calling it Highland Heather, it's Fresh Fuchsia, but I'll do that kind of peeking out from under there, and maybe one more. I like to do an odd number. Let's see, let's do maybe a Soft Succulent one, like right down here, peeking out. Not that you can see that much, but anyway. There we go. So, oh, and the inside, I won't go ahead and do the inside now, I don't think, because it's already 10 to 1. But the inside, I did the other daffodil stamp, because there's two daffodils. My goodness, what did I do? Oh, here it is. There are two daffodil stamps. So this is the one I used on the front. So I just stamped this inside, and these dots would be fun inside actually. You could do those along the bottom maybe, and a butterfly maybe, or you could do this along the bottom too. That would look pretty on the inside, and that would kind of tie in with this. I've covered up most of it on this. You can see a little bit more of it on this one, but yeah, so you could do whatever you like inside. And then because the front is quite a few layers, I decided to put a white layer with the black mat inside, just to kind of even out the weight of it, because this back seems so thin and flimsy compared to the front. But you don't have to do that. So you can go ahead and finish that off, and I will finish it off and then post pictures. So anyway, I hope you liked today's card. Which color do you like best? I kind of like this one actually. I think it's pretty. So don't forget about these papers, the Subtles 6x6 they're called. Kristen says she likes the matte inside. Yeah, I do. I don't always do that, but it just seemed like it needed it in this one. Makes it a bit more substantial. So yeah, you could put some Wink of Stella on the flowers, you could put some pearls on the butterfly, all kinds of things you could do to this to gussy it up a bit more if you like. But anyway, so I hope you like that and that you'll maybe give it a try. Thank you, Denise. And anyway, so that's today's, I have a new host code at the top of the page. Let's see, Kristen says the yellow pops with the purple but they're both, yeah, I think the yellow does, doesn't it? There it's not so, doesn't pop quite so much. But anyway, I like them both. This is Pale Papaya, I think, this one. All right, so those are the cards for today. Thank you so much for joining me, everybody. I hope you have a great rest of the day and a great week, and I will see you next time. Bye for now. Have a great day.